Yesterday, I think we kind of teased this. We were expecting a decision to come down. One did. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, this time in the state of Georgia. Going to start off by letting you hear, first of all. So this is Fulton County, Georgia's District Attorney Fani Willis announcing the indictment against Donald Trump.
The indictment alleges that rather than abide by Georgia's legal process for election challenges, the defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result. Subsequent to the indictment, as is the normal process in Georgia law, the grand jury issued arrest warrants for those who are charged. I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023.
And then she explained it this way because, of course, people are saying, wait a sec, this is unfair. Why are you doing this? You're partisan. She said this.
I make decisions in this office based on the facts and the law. The law is completely nonpartisan. That's how decisions are made in every case. To date, this office has indicted, since I've been sitting as a district attorney, over 12,000 cases. This is the 11th RICO indictment. We followed the same process. We look at the facts, we look at the law, and we bring charges.
That's it. The facts, the law, the charges. So what's next? Amber Phillips is a politics reporter with the Washington Post. She is on the line right now. Interesting piece in the Post on this today. Amber, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I guess the question next is just that. What is next? What happens from here on in?
Yeah, well, Fani Willis, who we've been hearing, says Trump and these 18 co-defendants have until August 25th to voluntarily surrender. And then we'll repeat what by now in America is a familiar process, which is the former president showing up in court with his lawyers and entering his plea, guilty or not guilty. That's called an arraignment, as well as these 18 other co-defendants. We're not sure exactly when or at what various times, but the thing that will be different and fascinating about this likely arraignment coming up in the next week or two is that cameras are allowed in the courtroom. So we'll see it all play out on national television.
And my understanding is that we will perhaps see a mugshot for the first time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The federal courthouses, one, they didn't allow cameras, and then two, it just wasn't a requirement to have a mugshot. Same with the state of New York, which indicted him back in April. But Georgia's laws are different, and this is a state investigation, state crime, and so my colleague spoke to the local sheriff down there in Atlanta who said, yeah, unless I hear differently, we're going to treat him like any other person being indicted, which means a mugshot released to the public, fingerprints, and then this is really interesting, being put in or showing up for all that at a jail, which is under such squalid conditions that it's actually been the subject of a Justice Department investigation here.
Oh, my. I wonder, as you describe this, can his defense team ask that the cameras not be allowed to be turned on?
That's a good question. I haven't asked legal experts about that. I know that judges, even in federal cases, and according to Georgia state law, they have discretion about what to do. And so we in the media actually petitioned the federal judge in the January 6th case to please allow cameras. She said no. But it's possible under Georgia law that the judge could say, I think this is too much of a spectacle. We're going to turn off the cameras.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. When you said that he's going to be treated like any other, I don't know if you said criminal, but that's the word I'm going to use anyway. He isn't just any other criminal, right? He is a former president of the United States. So I think it would be fairly understandable, would it not, if they don't want to release the mugshot and they don't want to allow cameras?
Yep, I think that's understandable, and it's why this is the fourth indictment, and the past three have not released mugshots. But I think this is just one example of how this Georgia case is different in so many ways. For example, if Trump were to become president, he could pardon himself from these federal convictions, but not in Georgia.
Oh, interesting. Okay, and none of this prevents him from running again. This is something that I find utterly fascinating. Even if he is convicted, he can still run?
Right, that's exactly right. The U.S. Constitution is pretty vague about who can run for president. Legal experts I've talked to say purposefully so. You just have to be of a certain age, a U.S. citizen, and that's pretty much it.
When you say this is a bit of a different case here because this is on a state level, not on a federal level, and I keep reading comments from people saying this one is different, and then alluding to the fact that this may be the most serious of all. Why would that be?
Yeah, I'm reporting that out right now to try to talk to legal experts. In fact, tomorrow I have a newsletter called The 5-Minute Fix, and I'm going to try to rank which of his indictments are the most serious. This one is definitely up there, and that's in part because of what we just talked about. He can't pardon himself if he were president and if he got convicted like he could in the federal cases. But then the prosecutor, Fani Willis, has put together a really sprawling indictment. She tries to tell the story of how Trump tried to overturn his election loss in a way we haven't seen yet. And she's going to try to prosecute every single detail according to this indictment. And so I think that makes this very serious. She's also got a solid track record in prosecuting people under the charge that she's got Trump with, racketeering.
Huh.
She's put the former Atlanta school superintendent and other school teachers behind bars for this.
Amber, do you have a sense of, that's incredibly impressive, and yeah, she sounds like someone you just don't want to mess with. How is the public reacting to this? I think politicians all have skin in the game, right? Well, and so do the public, I suppose. What seems to be the general reaction from the public?
Yeah, I would say, and I'm feeling it too, y'all, indictment fatigue. I'm serious. This is the fourth indictment in 5 months, and they've come back to back to back. And I've asked legal experts why, and it just takes a while to put these together, and they all kind of landed at the same time. So there's indictment fatigue. There's natural tribalism, everyone retreating to their partisan line. But we do see some Republican leaders trying to sway the public that will listen to them. I'm thinking that Trump is just not the candidate they should be having anymore. I'm thinking of the former lieutenant governor in Georgia, a staunch Republican conservative who testified to the grand jury and then came out yesterday and said, we can't have Trump, you guys, as our leader. We're going to keep losing elections. And so I'm going to be watching for that slice of the American public to see whether their opinions change on Donald Trump with so many back-to-back indictments.
Can I just ask you, if you wouldn't mind, for our audience here, and obviously north of the border, I know we're following this, perhaps not as deeply as people will be down there, and certainly not in the state of Georgia, but with respect to what he is being, and those 18 other people, by the way, right, there are 19 people charged under this indictment. What are the main charges here? And I know it goes on and on, but what are the main ones here?
Yeah, that's a great question. The main ones are that Trump and his allies did everything in their power, pushed every lever they could to try to overturn his election results. And that falls into several different categories. One is Trump and his allies pressuring state officials, calling them up, cajoling them, threatening them to change the results. Another are Trump and his allies setting up fake electors to pretend to be the real electors and signing certificates and saying, nope, Trump won the state of Georgia, and trying to hand that to Congress. And then the other are just the myriad of false statements they made to Georgia lawmakers in official hearings, and then Trump on his Twitter feed about the election. And Fani Willis is going to try to argue Trump lied and then about the election results and then pressured all these state officials and pressed every lever he could to try to flip the results for him.
Okay.
Never a dull moment.
No, there isn't. And by the way, did I see this today? Trump has taken to his own social media feed to say what? He's going to release a report tomorrow of some kind. Did you see this?
Yes, I did. He also said he's going to hold a press conference on Monday at his golf course in New Jersey. And so he's amped up in a way that, honestly, I didn't see after the January 6th indictment just a couple weeks ago, where there was this sense I was here in the city as he was getting indicted. It just felt, as he was getting arraigned, it felt like heavy, like this one landed differently, like his head was down in the courtroom, according to reporters there. And that's not the case this time. We see him treating this more as a campaign event almost.
Wow.
All right. Your 5-minute fix comes out. It's every day?
Yep. It's every day in the weekday afternoons. It's totally free. And my idea is to do exactly what we're doing here, which is answer people's basic questions about U.S. politics, which is crazy right now.
I love that. I'm going to
Washington
check that out.
Post, check it out. So this is, in fact, Amber. Amber, thank you so much. We appreciate your time this afternoon. Amber Phillips, 5-Minute Fix on the Washington Post. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
You bet. Thanks, y'all.
I love the y'all too.
Even there.